time. It's enough out of you.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Not Just Politics podcast. We are here today, officially now in Kenosha, Wisconsin, at Carthage College for the 2024 Braver Angels National Convention. We are joined today by two very special guests. His second time on the show, Alex Darlington, CEO of the Stair Party, and first-time guest, Matthew Rodgers.
Yes, sir.
What is your official title that you go by with Stair Party, sir?
I go by a couple titles.
Okay.
A couple.
Your favorite one?
My favorite one,
Yeah.
I self-created entirely.
I love
it's
it.
It's on my first business card. It's just the professional.
The
Top.
That's it. That's all they need.
Matthew Rodgers, the professional.
Yes, sir.
Of the Stair Party. What's going on, guys? How's it been going?
Dude, white boy summer is saved. Let me tell you.
Did you save it?
Single-handedly, actually.
As you can see right now, I'm rocking the fit, and I'm about to take it back to Pennsylvania. I've learned a lot of knowledge, a lot of scholarly knowledge while we've been here in good old Kenosha. You know, we've been looking at the lake.
The lake is beautiful.
I've been looking at the lake. I've actually when no one's looking, I actually walk to the lake and just kind of look at it for a few hours straight.
Yeah, we just
Like a main character moment, they call it, like when it's just, all we can see is just a tiny little, just Alex Darlington way off in the distance.
Absolutely.
On the beach, just staring off into the ocean.
I monologue in my head as I do it. Oh.
the tide rises. He's like knee deep in the water too. He's just standing there.
And I just sit there. I'm neck tall at some point.
You just start walking into the water.
He never leaves. And what about you? What about you, Matthew? How's it been going?
I mean, hey man, you know it's summer. You do stuff. You got just an alcoholic at this point. Might as well confess. You know,
Okay.
live on television.
Yeah.
I'm a full-fledged alcoholic.
And give the viewers the quick rundown of how you met Alex and how you got involved in the Stair Party.
Oh,
Oh.
oh my.
Okay.
Is that a story becoming of podcast?
Oh,
Is
it's
that
actually
is it fit for
perfect.
It's quick. It's actually quite interesting.
The air? Okay. Let's get into
Okay.
it now.
You want to?
So yeah, I'll tell it.
Go ahead.
So there's this game.
Yes.
It's kind of popular with the kids nowadays.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Roblox.
Are you
And
serious? Okay.
Roblox is a great place because you can just meet all these interesting characters.
Yeah.
But there's a very specific Roblox game.
Yeah.
It's called, or it's on a Discord as well. It's called In USA,
Yeah.
NUSA. And it's quite literally just Roblox roleplay politics. That's it.
That's the game.
That's literally it.
Wow.
And I was on there just kind of fooling about, doing my best, you know, on that grind, the Roblox grind.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
Mr. Darlington comes up to me one day. He's like, hey, I got an idea. And we started a stair party in Roblox, in NUSA.
So it started in. So the Stair Party has its origins in Roblox.
Maybe.
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 That's word on the street.
Yeah, word on the street, you know.
I've been
Around
talking
the corner.
I've been talking to my connections and the people I know, and you know, it's not confirmed yet, but it's in the bouts, as they say.
It's in the works. Something's in the works.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And also, just for my viewers who may not have listened to the first episode, can you give people the quick rundown, both of you, whoever wants to take this, a quick rundown on what the Stair Party is and what the mission is?
Yeah, so the Stair Party is an organization focused on local communities and rebuilding local communities. What we've seen right now on the national level is a lot of polarization, partisanship, and so one of the ways we wanted to find a way to mend the gap is to, instead of trying to make every single national issue a national issue, as we're seeing right now, we wanted to go back to what the beauty of our federal system of government is, which is delegating power to local communities. And so we try to focus on that now. We're trying to focus on that. We're mostly focused on the college level and trying to promote that idea of college students interested in politics getting into their local communities, focusing on local politics. Because a lot of people, when they say, oh, I hate politics, I hate politics. I hate how it's act. Usually they're talking about national politics,
Yes.
federal politics, what they see on the TV.
Yeah.
Local politics is an entirely different area. It actually made me kind of hopeful. Like when I went into my local community and I started getting involved there, it made me kind of hopeful of what can be changed. And all of the partisanship and the hyperpolarization you see on the national level, it all kind of fizzles down from what I've seen. It becomes citizens' issues. It doesn't become red and blue issues. It becomes citizen issues.
And do you think that? Yeah, I think that that's great. I think that there is a little bit too much of a heavy emphasis on national politics right now. Do you think that? So I guess what would you say to the argument that, you know, because somebody would say, Alex, that's great. You know, local stuff is important, but at the end of the day, right? I'm from a certain identity group whose rights are being targeted or something like that, and I feel like I need to put a higher emphasis on, you know, focusing on the presidential election, for example, because depending on who wins, that might affect my day-to-day just as much as maybe a local.
Yeah. So what I'll say is that what you see from both parties is you see a lot of fear-mongering. Is that obviously there's those issues come up all the time. I mean, we just saw with Roe v. Wade, this great discussion, and a lot of battling, and so it's kind of what's kind of used now is this premise of if this candidate, this corporate oligarch, this red corporate oligarch or this blue corporate oligarch doesn't win this presidential election, all of your rights, everything is going to go away. And that's just simply not how it works. And it's also how they sort of keep people maintaining the status quo. This system that we hate so much, that we think is corrupt, we think is disgusting, we think is far beyond repair, is now because they are fear-mongering you with your rights, fear-mongering you with your freedoms. Now, this is the time that you want to adhere to the status quo. This is the time you want to involve yourself and let them continue what they're doing. At the end of the day, as long as we maintain the status quo, your rights and your freedoms and your economic prosperity or your economic quality of life, they will all deteriorate. It's just a matter of when.
And when you look at the Republican Party and the Democrat Party, is there anything in your guys' estimation? Is there anything, you know, that they get right? Is there anything that that could be learned from the structure of those parties or from their platforms?
I think so. Like the way Republicans are. So this sounds bad. Okay, so when politics usually becomes a lot more popular, people end up liking when there's like mainly a large figurehead or something larger to it. And in the Democrat Party right now, you're seeing, because you have Joe Biden basically being the front runner because he's the president. He's like the sitting president under the Democrat Party, and he is a figurehead to him. But he's not like a strong figure. He's not prominent. He's not robust. What you see with Trump and stuff like that, what the Republican Party has done is sort of ensured that he is, when you think about the GOP, you immediately see him. Like you immediately see that. Because you'll see guys on the road, and they got like you'll just see like an outline or something. It's just like the wig. It's just like his hairdo or something like that. It's like that's how you know you've been able to produce something that is long-lasting, something that's going to be remembered, and something that's going to echo through just people's social lives and people's political lives.
Now, when you say that, I from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're looking at that approach as simply like the way that Trump has kind of taken over the Republican Party has created it's created like an image.
Yeah.
This is gonna sound corny again, but it's almost like in the Christian Bale Batman movies. It's like if you can become a symbol, right?
Yeah.
Now, listen, I'm not saying that's good. Now, do you think that sort of cult of personality is a good thing for politics?
I think it's dangerous, as I think politics, when it becomes something that is less about helping people and more about getting things done, even if it is in the long term to help people, that if you just want to get something done, it can become dangerous by the means to do it. by like however the politicians do it, it's going to become dangerous.
Yeah.
But when you have a figurehead, people are naturally going to move a lot quicker. They're going to be able to immediately recognize, okay, his platform's this, this, and this, because, well, he's the figurehead. And well, to an extent, okay, if he's the figurehead of the GOP, that must be the GOP's stance. And so that it allows it to sort of be a lot more easily consumable to the masses. But it is just dangerous in the long run.
I was going to say that the one thing, I'm going to add on to that, I'm going to say that the one thing that the two parties get right that they do well is their marketing. That is, you was talking about it before with their figurehead marketing, but in general, their fear-mongering and focus on emotional, charged language with the media and with their, even on the Senate floor, the House floor, congressional floor, it doesn't matter. They have been able to use that, and it's almost like a social contagion of that fear, that fear and immediacy, need of immediacy, need to do something now. Everything's on the line. This apocalyptic idea that they put forth to the American people, that type of marketing has allowed them to, despite majority of Americans despising the system we have right now, have been able to keep them attached. It's like a toxic relationship.
Right. Okay. So whenever you're looking at what they're doing well, you're looking at efficiency based on their goals, not necessarily what you would have done.
Yeah. No.
In that situation.
Morally speaking, it's abhorrent. It's bad. It's abhorrent. But it gets the job done for what they want to do. I mean, we still have the two-party system, so obviously their marketing is doing great.
It's perfect.
And I just quickly, and we got a little bit of background on you, Matthew, but I just want to quickly circle back again, just for the viewers, and also just for me, because I've only met you just yesterday. Basically met you, and then we've chatted a little bit today over breakfast. But, what are you currently college student?
Yeah.
Still, okay. So where are you going to school? What are you going to school for?
Yeah.
And if you could try to give us just a bit of a brief rundown on your. I don't want to say ideology, but just sort of like your general approach to your general thoughts about like the world, I guess.
I got you. Well, right now I live in Louisiana, so I go to Louisiana Tech University, and I'm a psych major.
Okay.
Yeah, and I love it. It's awesome.
Good.
Because you just learn all this shit, and it's really cool to kind of see how people tick, how they work, what's the functionings behind literally any action, and to an extent, you can see a lot of it in politics as well. And I think it's like almost a one-to-one on certain things you learn, and how like if they like a politician themselves, if they have something kind of going on underneath, it's gonna naturally kind of leak out into everything they do, everything they say.
Sure.
And that's why I like psychology so much, and I get to help people. So in the long run, I do want to be like an actual psychiatrist. I want to help out anybody.
And what do you think? So when you started to learn psychology, when you started to jump into that, what do you think was the biggest like paradigm shift that you had? I guess like in terms of then looking at politics, like was there a moment where you learned something, or was it kind of a slow burn over time? Because I imagine that shapes the way you look at politics much differently when you're looking at it from a psychological perspective.
It definitely does, but I've always been like interested in politics in general for like basically as long as I can remember, because it's always just interesting. It's like, why are these guys on my TV right now? Why are they in suits? Why are they shouting at each other? What's going on? And I also like the TikTok stuff they do. Or they'll just dance or do like the corniest shit ever. And it's like, yeah, that's how you get the young vote right there. Just do dances on TikTok or Instagram. You'll get them all.
What's going on? Why are they on my TV? Why are they shouting?
Who are these people? Why do I have to watch it?
Okay, now, whenever you guys pitch the Stair Party to people, whenever you guys pitch this, because I know whenever I was with the Forward Party, one of the biggest criticisms that we got, and even now kind of with Bridge USA, one of the biggest criticisms that we get is like, oh, what do you guys think about these like these worldwide issues? Like, do you guys get asked about foreign conflict, domestic policy, despite the fact that the Stair Party is built on sort of this platform of returning things to the local level and returning that local community. Do you guys get any of that? Like, do people ask you, like, what do you think about
Literally,
that other
yeah,
thing?
literally
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
And here's what I'm gonna say is that the Stair Party right now, right? We've been doing some research on movement building. I want to put this out there on movement building, and what we've seen from. So if we think of, like, for example, if we want to move away from the two-party system we have right now, and not just from ranked choice voting and all that, but I mean, like, moving away from the culture war, moving into back to the idea of, the American dream, making it attainable for people, the idea of having true equality of opportunity in the country. All of these for economic equality, political equality, etc. So I've been doing some research on movement building, and you go to some successful movements. The two I've been looking at is the progressive movement, and back in the 1790s to the 1800s, the Jeffersonian wave of support against the Federalists. And the two biggest things that I've seen that I think we've forgotten, it's like a lost tradition in America, is fraternal organizations. I'm not talking about college fraternal organizations. I'm talking about informal groupings of the political manner. The progressive movement was built off of that, and it built a foundation of social capital, of networks that allowed for professional organizations to have a basically fertile grounds to start pushing things into the local level and then to the national level. So the reason I'm explaining all this right now, and I want to put it out there, is because the Stair Party, since last time we talked, it's going through some changes. It's not what it is as it was before.
Yeah.
So
It's not Roblox anymore.
it's not Roblox anymore, and it's
What
not
a
a
shame.
political party anymore.
Okay.
And we're how do I put it? We're hunkering down.
Yeah. Consolidating everything.
Yeah, hunkering down. We're doing some research to figure out how we can effectively serve our communities, and also try to make a movement, because that would actually stand a chance against the political machine we have right now. Because if we're being honest, the third party movement it's not going anywhere right now in its current manner.
Yeah.
And the network outside that would be kind of connected to the third party movement, the democracy reform movement and whatnot, is still very much in its infancy. So that's a little off topic, I understand, but I wanted to put that all out there.
Of course, I want all this stuff. So from what I'm understanding, it's moving towards more of a social movement.
Yes.
Is that kind of accurate? Or maybe not a social movement, but it's moving away. So it's no longer a political party.
Yeah.
Moving into something a little bit different.
Yeah. There's going to be, on the professional aspect, we're still going to be on college campuses. We still want to be there.
Okay.
We still want to be encouraging students to, instead of looking at federal politics, start looking into their local politics and local communities. But we're also, and the existing foundations and chapters we have now are still working. We're not shutting things down, but we are, the idea of expansion into as a political party is not really something we're looking at right now. We're hunkering down. We're doing more research. Got to get our ducks in a row.
Understood. And so the culture war has been a pretty intense area of study for me personally over the last, kind of casually for the last 3 years, but pretty intensely for the last year. What do you guys think are the main drivers of the culture war at this point in time? If you want to look at it from maybe an institutional perspective, like in terms of like the media or these political parties, or if you want to look at it from a social media perspective, what do you guys see as like the biggest problems that need to be solved in order to get us through the culture war, or at least to get us in a healthier place?
Yeah. For me, at least, the way I kind of look at it is, well, like the names in general for a lot of these things are really weird. Like culture war, I've heard it so much. It might as well just be named something different at this point.
It doesn't mean anything to you.
Yeah. No, at this point, it's just a word. It's like, okay, It's like the word woke or something like that.
Oh, that's
Just call them.
okay.
Because like people say woke so much, it's like okay, there's no sting behind it. It's a joke to me at least. Like if I hear somebody say woke, I'm not gonna take them seriously.
Sure.
Because at this point, just call them like dumbasses or something. Just call them morons. Just anything else, like any word. Call them like love seat couches.
The woke people.
But like culture where the name itself, it has no burn or mean behind it to me anymore. But like the whole idea is I get it. I get what's there. And I think it's more of like or the main driver I've seen is the want and need for belonging that people naturally have. And right now it is so many young people are just kind of lost and sort of stuck in themselves. Because what an easy thing to do is just kind of go inwards and just like, well, I got it. I can handle it all. It'll be fine. I can rely on myself because I know myself. And while, yeah, I can understand doing all that and being like, you're confident in yourself. You know your capabilities. The thing is when you do that, it lapses onto itself and becomes a pain to yourself. It's like when you have, when you meet a new guy or something like that or a new friend, and he's just real awkward, and you just kind of put up with it because, well, there's somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
And so you just put up with it. And that's basically what it is internally. And you get tired of that. And then it becomes a crushing pressure to find something as an outlet for the grief, for anger, for happiness, joy, anything.
Sure.
And so a lot of modern politics, a lot of modern like culture war stuff is just people looking for something. They can't find it. And so they change it so quickly. And so they'll look for like a place to belong, a place to call a group or a community. And then when they get into it, they get bored of it because, well, it's not the same. It's not the same as being something that's naturally there. So like a community, like for thousands of years, humans have lived in very tight-knit communities.
Okay, I think I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're saying if you force it,
Yeah.
if you force yourself into a place, you are eventually going to feel kind of alienated by it because maybe you weren't welcomed into that place organically, or maybe you didn't stumble upon it organically. And then do you get the sense that people desperately try to keep themselves fitting into those boxes, and then that's how they get exhausted?
I think it's like they see it at first, and they idealize it. They beautify it. They make it look real pretty to themselves as like, well, this is something I can do. These are people I can talk with. Everything there is perfect. I don't agree with some stuff, but I mean, I can ignore that. And they get into it, and they're like, oh, this is great. And then the burn is gone. And then they're just kind of there, and they're like, I don't want this no more. I don't want this no more. I need to get out of here.
Okay.
And so they'll either stay in there and then make it worse for themselves by putting up with something they don't want because they came into it thinking it was like this perfect thing. And it just kind of crashes and burns around them. And they'll just stick in there and just kind of, not live a happy life. They'll be very sad. And that's what you see with a lot of like younger generations, like depression's through the roof in like Gen Zers, millennials and stuff like that.
So when you say like the person when you say like you stay in there, just for clarification, are you talking about like ideologies or social groups or like identity groups that you would be like identifying with?
Yeah, pretty much any of it really, anything really.
Okay.
Because you can sit there and be like, yeah, I agree with this, I agree with that, not this, but it's company. It's someone I can talk to, I can chat with. Because again, the tight communities that people have always been with, that's why usually you'll see people in like, from like kindergarten to high school, they'll have a very tight-knit friend group that kind of grows and shrinks and fluctuates and stuff like that. And then when they go to college, they might have like 3 or 4 left because they went there with them. And then a couple of them kind of dropped off or they just don't talk enough anymore. And then they kind of have to start that process over again. But they don't have that youthful excitement they had in like pre-K or kindergarten where they can just go chat to somebody. That social awkwardness is going to eat them, and they're just going to hate it. And so usually people try and find that grouping again, and that's where it leads to like whatever it is, political movements, social movements, just stuff like that.
I think that the culture war was artificially created.
Maybe.
Okay, and when do you personally think that So, I'm under the impression that there's always kind of like there's always going to be a clash between the dominant culture and the
Yeah.
counterculture within
Yeah.
the society. So I don't want to say like when did the culture war start, because I'm not so sure that it ever ends,
Mhm.
right? But when do you think that this current version of what we're seeing started?
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it, is that the current version we see right now, I think, at least if it did start, it is be artificially the flames are being fanned by the existing elite class, right? In order to divide and conquer the population. There are a lot of issues in the United States that people can generally agree upon if they are sat in a room and talk it out and empathize with each other and listen to each other. And it's so much easier because there was actually a book I read recently called The Age of Grievance, and it talked about how, and also The Great Experiment as well, and they both,
Monk.
yes,
I'm going to read that one next. Was it good?
it's pretty good.
Okay.
And they talk about how it's so much easier for humans to kind of find an in-group and find a threat to the out-group. And whatever that identity may be, in the media and in the wording and discussion of political commentators, of news media, or directly from the source of the politicians themselves, all of them continue that message of trying to divide the population by identity. And this person, and that's why it's so interesting to when you kind of see, I've heard this many times. This is anecdotal evidence, I understand, but I've heard this many times where it's like, you don't, this person, I don't know, they just don't sound like a Republican, or they don't look like a Democrat or whatever. And it's so funny to me because it's almost as if we're treating these people like we're treating the Republicans and Democrats as if they're like as if they're tribes, as if they're two separate new identity ethnicities that are at constant cultural clash, constant ethnic clash with each other. And you can kind of see the manifestation of that divide and conquer strategy. Where people, and also in demography as well, this person, whatever, more likely to do this, and therefore it goes into, you don't look Republican, or you don't look Democrat, or whatever. And therefore, when people are able to compartmentalize, I can't say that word right. Compartmentalize individuals into boxes of identities, it's so much easier to hate them. It's so much easier to attack them because they've become a character in your mind, and they've not become human anymore. And you can see that especially on social media, because on social media you cannot really, because they're not there. You're not talking to them in person, right? So if there's one thing I would say is that wherever the culture war started, right, I'm going to say that at the very least, the fans are being flamed by the current status, the elite class.
And I had to still read the book, but I've been told that that's like Matt Taibbi's book, Hate Inc., is also kind of about that whole idea, how the media teaches people to hate each other.
Yep.
I think that you hit the nail on the head there with that, especially about the part of like a caricature of your political opponents in your head. That's a phrase that I've used many times, and I think it's absolutely true. It's a lot easier to dismiss people that way and to not have to listen to their ideas or meet them in the middle or meet them where they are or anything like that.
And the biggest thing that I'll say is that type of division and fragmentation of individuals, and almost it almost is in a way individualizing people, hyper individualization, because it's more accepting to put a bunch of identities on yourself, to separate yourself from whatever the other, right? The counteracting of that, right, is, to me, is strong communities.
Yeah.
Strong, tight-knit communities, because they're able to build social movements faster. They have rich social capital. They're able to build social movements faster. People are able to group quicker. Those tight-knit communities where the word spreads, right?
Yeah.
That is the counterweight to changing, and that's what we see in other movements. Is that's where it starts, right? In those informal social groupings. But if the community is so fragmented and fighting against each other, wherever that local community may be, right? Or they're focusing on, they're sort of, I think of it as a community self-sacrificing themselves for a national purpose, and that national purpose fighting the other side, right?
Yeah. And it doesn't necessarily serve them directly as well as focusing on the local stuff.
And I think that's important to note because self-interest for the individual and self-interest for the community and is beneficial to everyone, right? It's beneficial to everyone because that sort of self-sacrificing measure that a community may do to fight this national purpose leads them to be fragmented and hollow.
And also potentially negligent of the problems that are right next door.
And those problems could probably unite a community together, and people start feeling like citizens, citizen issues. They start to feel that belonging. They start to feel that sense of community, and therefore they're starting to empathize.
And did you guys watch the debate last night? Just for context, today's Friday, June 28th. We just had the first CNN debate with Donald J. Trump and Joseph Biden. Did you guys have any thoughts on that? Did you guys watch it?
Dog. I was drinking a little bit, could not really stand correctly. Like I said, this summer, it's the summer of alcoholics.
Yeah.
Personal. But from what I remember,
Do we have to cut this out?
Nah, you good. You good, dog. From what I remember, I wasn't drunk. No, not at all.
Right.
Yeah. No, I was just kidding. But from what I remember, Joseph Biden, he was just like, he looked funny. Like,
he was not there.
Yeah, he almost looked, like his face too, he almost looked kind of bloated. Like he almost looked like he had taken some medication and one of the adverse effects was bloating.
Interesting.
And he was just, the way he was talking, it was like, it wasn't even a whisper. It looked like he was, like he had dry mouth the whole time and he was just out of it and just kind of, and it's just.
It was not like the State of the Union address. The State of the Union was, he was at least kind of there.
Yeah.
My question is, what's the point of watching a debate like that if you're not going to let everyone debate? Like, I wanted to see RFK on the stage.
That would have been awesome.
I think that would have. I think they didn't let him on because, well, I don't think they let any third-party candidates on because they want to maintain the current system.
It was both of them. One of the agreements was no RFK.
Yeah, that was. Isn't that so wonderful? These two parties, that seemingly just hate each other, despise each other, can't agree on anything. But the one thing they can't agree on is no competition and money.
Yeah.
That's the one thing. I'll tell you what. There's so many goddamn examples of corporations donating to both parties on both sides. The one thing that's bipartisan is when they go into that ballroom. That corporate
cash money,
that donor, thank you donor, congratulations, whatever, and you see them all show, how's the wife, whatever.
Yeah.
That's where the one thing they can agree upon. Yeah. I want to read this. I want to read Romney's autobiography, not because I like Romney, not because I like that guy.
So like him, but he's got some words to speak.
You know what he has to speak about is his time in Congress.
Yeah.
And he talks about how it's basically a social club for old men.
Yeah,
and
makes sense.
It made me think that. How it's probably. I like to. It made me think that it's probably like how I've seen in other groupings, like on college campuses, where they all gossip and stuff. I imagine it's the same thing with the old people. I imagine.
Sure, but going back to the debate.
Yeah, sorry. I'm sorry.
So I think the common sentiment that we heard at the convention, because I was at the watch party, and the sentiment that I think I'm hearing in the rest of the country as well is that Donald Trump kind of won this one.
I mean,
Who won? Who?
Right, but that's kind of where
Sorry,
I land on.
yeah.
That's where I land on is like,
No one.
there's not much to beat,
no.
and what is there left to win?
Well,
I'm not sure what there's left
But-
to win in this situation.
But guys, this is the most important election of our lifetime. This is the most important election. We need to vote for one of these people. We need
we
to.
have
It
to.
is really-
If you don't vote for those people, you're basically a Nazi, or you hate everyone and you
Yeah.
want your rights being taken away.
You're literally a Nazi. You're literally a communist. It's over.
Yeah, you.
It is really funny though that has been. I mean, I do kind of remember. I do vaguely remember that being the message in 2016, and then I fully remember that being the message in 2020. And now they really are about to roll that out again, aren't they?
I wouldn't doubt it.
The two parties are going to roll that out again. That this
Yeah.
is like the most important. So, what do you guys think about people that have? Sorry about that, folks.
Yeah.
That was a
You all good.
phone alarm.
Can I touch upon one thing
Sure.
before you continue with that?
Sure.
I'm gonna give an example of it doesn't matter where you stand on the aisle on this one, but I'm gonna give you an example of with Roe v. Wade, because a lot of people talk about that when it talks about the rights being taken away. I don't care if you're. This is gonna apply to both pro-choice and pro-life people, okay? Where for the Democratic Party, it was an extreme benefit to them politically that Roe v. Wade was overturned.
Absolutely.
It was an extreme
Absolutely.
benefit to them.
Absolutely.
And there was unfortunately the people that spoke out, they didn't reveal their names, but there's interviews with like Congress people about it, and they said that Roe v. Wade, yeah, it's bad, but we got an amazing election out of it. We got people right up. We got people to the polls. So let me tell you something. If it is of the benefit of these two parties to take away your rights in the first, it doesn't matter, right? If it's of benefit to them electorally to take away your rights, and this can apply if you're a gun rights guy, right? If they ban assault guns, you know who's going to benefit that they ban assault? It's going to benefit the Republican Party.
And the NRA.
Yes,
That
your rights being taken away is benefiting those parties. So when you vote for those parties, it doesn't matter. All of it is vapid nonsense. When they debate and they say your rights are going to be taken away if you don't vote for us, they'll take it away anyway, so they can say, see what happened, and then do it anyway, and then you get screwed over, and they say, well, you just didn't vote hard enough, and then they go to the ballroom and they say, hey,
how's it going, man?
Hey, can I get another $50 million
In the bank tomorrow.
I need another yacht. I need another yacht. I need another knot. I need it.
Alex completely forgot that he was doing a podcast.
Oh my
He started
God.
talking directly to the people. He just started speaking directly to the
All of 'em.
people. So what
Sorry.
what do you guys think? It's okay, buddy. What do you guys think about? Because this is something that I bring up a lot, and people I get a lot of critiques about this. I have said, and I don't know, I haven't given like a super large amount of thought to this, so I'm not like solidified in this view, but I don't personally blame anybody that doesn't vote, because I understand how disaffected some people feel by the system. What do you guys, and individually, and by the way, just this should be clear, but obviously you two you're in separate people. If you would like to obviously answer
Yeah.
this
Wait, really?
separately, of
Huh?
course you can, right?
Well,
I thought this was my
Where's
alter identity.
yeah, no.
How do you guys feel about that idea that you would almost protest the system by disengaging from it?
There's a lot better ways to do it. There's a lot better ways to do it.
Okay.
I understand why people do it, right? I get it. I get it. But here's what I'm gonna say to you: to people that don't vote, at least vote in your local elections. Okay, vote in your local elections, because a lot of the partisan bullshit on the national level doesn't usually apply. When you talk to your borough council, you know what they're talking about? I go to the township meetings. You know what they talk about? They're not talking about burning books, or they're not talking about Roe v. Wade. They're not talking about transgender issues. They're not talking about.
They're talking about roads and.
They literally, I'm
School
being
funding.
entirely
Drainage systems.
they're talking about stormwater, they're talking about sewage, they're talking about smart growth development, they're talking about agriculture, and they're talking about like in my community, they're talking about warehouse development, and trying to prevent warehouse development because of the stormwater and traffic and environmental concerns, and it all goes away. So vote in your local elections. Please keep informed in your local community. And also, if you want to go on the national level, a better protest vote, if you don't like the system, is it doesn't matter who you vote for, but vote for an independent or a third-party candidate. Because let me tell you something, RFK, he's polling at what, 7 to 15%?
Yeah, he's up there.
He's 7 to 15%. And you know what? In the grand scheme of things, that's not a lot, right?
Yeah.
It's not a lot. You can't win with 7 to 15%. But yet there's so much news on him. There's so much attention to this 7%. And even in 2016, it was like 5% total votes in third parties. And yet so much berating happened to that voter base. 5% of the population that voted whatever in protest. It doesn't matter. So much can come. I think your vote matters more because your vote gets more attention when you vote outside of the system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what do you got? Oh, sorry, Matthew, do you have it?
Oh, I was just going to say, like, yeah, I completely understand not voting. But, like, because imagine you vote, you're like, oh, I voted for this guy, and then he just ruins everything. It all blows up in your face. Or you don't vote for that guy, but the guy you did vote for ruins everything. You're just kind of stuck in this position that's like, well, is it going to ruin my day, or is it going to ruin the week, or is it going to ruin everybody's life? And so I completely understand, like, not voting at all. But, like, with the local stuff, sometimes they don't even know, or people don't even know when the elections are.
No, they don't.
There'll be like a yard sign somewhere, and that's it.
I'll be completely honest. I'm not as good about keeping up with local stuff as I should.
It's hard to in general because
Get to it.
It's like
Get to it.
Right. I should absolutely. I mean, I'll be honest about that. I mean, I'm not as good as I should be.
And the biggest thing that we can also put upon is that your local elections to your day-to-day life matter more than the national elections.
Oh, for
they
sure.
do.
Sure.
Because they directly decide what buildings get put in,
Yeah.
which is what affects your community, or how the roads. Literally, your walk to school, or your walk to wherever, or the rent.
Yeah.
You want to talk about housing, right?
Sure. Quickly, but
Yeah.
I want to circle back to RFK. But
Yeah.
continue your thought,
Yeah.
circle back.
Like, for example, housing, big things. You know, you talk about cost of living. That's all mostly decided, especially rent, is decided by your local community because it depends on the density of the housing. If they're encouraging density. If they're encouraging housing development, and then the type of housing development that they're encouraging, that's all urban plan. That's all on the local level.
Yeah.
And
people act like, oh, if Biden's elected, he's gonna build new houses. He's gonna build new schools just for me and my community. No, he's not. You don't even know who you are.
Right.
He does not care.
and I'll say this.
Wait a minute. You're telling me that Joe Biden doesn't know my name?
I'll say this is that also your involvement in a community also allows you to foster the type of, like, if you don't like your neighborhood, right, or you don't like whatever about it, being involved in your local community and creating a new local culture would allow you to be in a neighborhood that you like.
Yeah.
I think
Crazy.
with people that are worried about the hate or discrimination, trying to build a local community that is more accepting and more inclusive, and changing local culture. It's a feat, but is entirely possible for you as an individual. I've seen in my local community a group of 5 people. Seriously, these warehouses, multi-million-dollar companies coming in to try to build a warehouse. I've seen 5 people that have really dedicated themselves and did research to stop those warehouses.
Yeah.
And of course, there's like the supporters, but it takes only a dedicated group of individuals to change a local culture or a local community forever.
Yeah.
You just need dedication, consistency, and just the fire behind it. And like you can have like as many as like just 3 people, but if you have that consistency, that dedication, that push behind it, you can literally convince anybody to do anything, or like any community or any council or like political body to do anything, because of that just organization that you have and that fire and push behind it.
And I want to circle back to RFK Jr. What are you guys' honest thoughts about him? It seems to me like this is the most successful third-party candidate that we've had in our lifetime. Matthew, how old are you, sir?
21.
Okay, nice. So same with me, and Alex, you're also 21.
21, yeah.
So this seems like and again, I don't mean to be one of those Gen Z people that's like, oh, my historical knowledge starts with Trump. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like there's so many. There's like young people are always like, oh, but 2016. It's like things happened before 2016.
Yeah.
But it does seem like this guy is the most successful third-party candidate that we've seen.
Yeah.
I think in our lifetime. Like, what do you guys think about him?
Yeah, last one was Ross Perot in
Yeah.
1992, I think. Yeah. So, like, I don't agree with everything RFK has to say, but I'm voting for RFK. Number one, because I would like to see. I think he will take a better stance on the Ukraine war, of ending the Ukraine war, as in pulling out our aid. Right.
Okay.
I would like to see an end of aid to Ukraine personally. That's a big thing for me. But the most important thing is that my vote, right? I would like to contribute to this nudge to the American people that there is momentum. People are starting to think of alternatives.
Yeah, people love him.
Yeah.
Like seriously, like it's pretty remarkable the amount of support that he's gotten.
I think he's the only one with over 50 like a positive approval ratings.
That's awesome.
He's the only one.
He does. I think he also and I'd have to like find a stat and throw it in here and post. I don't remember exactly where it was, but at one point a couple months ago, I saw that he was polling higher among independents than Trump and Biden was.
I wouldn't doubt
Which
it.
is
And
really,
independents
really
under
surprising.
Yeah.
Like, but still, it's cool to see it. It's like
Yeah.
that means
Independents under 40.
it was under 40.
Under
Okay.
40.
Under
Okay.
40.
I mean,
yeah, the old people.
I mean, but still.
The old people, they like to see their own
Yeah.
on the TV.
They want to seize it.
But isn't RFK 70?
But he doesn't, dude.
We-
He's not. He's like
Oh.
he's healthy.
He
He's
is
healthy, he's
fit.
in good shape. Yeah, he is.
He just has that sort of.
I follow him. Yeah,
The
I
sort
follow.
of thing.
People need to get over that.
Yeah.
Seriously, people need to get over the voice.
I
It's
follow-
Not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
I follow him on Instagram, and he made a gym edit.
I saw that. Yeah.
That's a statement.
That's how you get to the American.
That's
people.
how you.
That's how you
them.
get the young.
That's it. That's it right there. Just make those like edits with like the.
Oh
make
my
the edits with
God.
the
Oh
music
my
over
God,
it. It's
dude.
just like,
If-
vote for me.
When I run for office, guys, in the future, I'm just letting you know, like for a national, if I ever go for like a statewide, right, one day, if I ever get to that point,
Yeah.
I will be making funk edits.
This is awesome.
I think it's maybe on Christian's phone. Christian's here. It's on somebody's phone from Gettysburg last year. We just have a picture of Alex like throwing up some kind of sign. Like it's not even like a bad thing. It was just like some like just throwing up some like gang sign or whatever.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was. It was at one of the monuments in Gettysburg. Alex goes, "Yo, take a picture of me," and just like throws up some gang sign.
That's
and
awesome.
Takes a picture. I think about that every.
Don't
week.
say what gang signs.
Oh.
I don't think it was. I don't think it wasn't anything like hateful or bad or anything.
No. I think I just did some random
Just
thing
moved
with my fingers.
You just do it. You just
did, like,
throw up
some,
four
like,
fingers.
sign with your hands. And I'm just like, oh, this guy's gonna win a local office one day, and that's gonna be absolutely.
Then it's over.
Awesome.
Let me tell you, I win a local office. It's over, dog. Things will be changing. I don't care what borough or township it is. We're coming back.
Yeah.
We're coming back.
We're gonna be back.
We're gonna be back the second the taxation policy. Literally, the most boring stuff is the most important stuff. Taxation policy and urban. We're gonna be so back.
Yeah.
You are gonna have the most boring campaign.
Absolutely.
of all time. But
The funk edits will make up for it.
Let me tell you. You get them with how it looks, not how it sounds.
One day, one of my goals, if I ever have the ability to, I want to build a high-speed railway from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh.
Absolutely. It'd be awesome.
That's one of the other things. So true.
Just to
but
come hang out.
but like things like that, right? Everyone can get behind a high-speed railway.
Yeah, they're
but we're
cool.
too busy focusing on stupid culture war issues that things that could genuinely increase everyone's quality of life.
Right.
Everyone's quality of life is completely ignored.
How do you think? And again, we briefly maybe might have touched on this, but and maybe we talked about the biggest drivers of the culture war. What do you think has to be done? We're jumping around here a little bit. I apologize to the listeners, but this is just kind of how we roll, I guess. What do you think can be done to start to pull people out of that mindset of hyper focusing on these very divisive culture war issues and start to get people more into the headspace of hyper focusing on local community?
Yell at him. No.
What?
Just scream at him.
Yeah.
Like, stop
Well,
it.
Okay, so what I'll say is that from my experience in my research and my personal experience is seeing how movements are built in local communities. It honestly is done, like in my local community, it's done by mostly like there's one person that's guiding everyone else. There's this one sweet old lady who has done a lot of research on warehouses, and that has allowed her to basically be the driving force. And she told me that the second I left to take a break, everything fell apart. So there's two ways that I think it's going to be how this is going to happen. The first way is it's going to be a dedicated group of individuals, whatever it may be. I think right now, I think it's going to be through academic manners. I think it's going to be changing the language and the perspective in academia, which then that trickles down to, because political commentators and news outlets basically like the troughs for political
The trough.
the troughs. A lot of the times they get their knowledge from research papers and stuff published by people in academia, like what you think about professors and stuff like that. So I think changing that institution, and it was actually talked about in Eastern Europe. Okay, in Eastern Europe, I'm gonna get a little off track. I'm sorry, but in Eastern Europe,
I'll bring you back. Don't
yeah. They talk about that when it was in Czechoslovakia when the Iron Curtain was still a thing and the Eastern Bloc was still a thing. There was a collection of essays done. I forgot it was like Charter 88, and those people they made a collection of essays, and something they do talk about is how the intelligentsia, which is the academics, disconnected from the people and focused entirely on their technicalities. And so the idea of bringing academia back into into mainstream discussion in some manner or form would allow for there to be some sort of course correction, I think.
Sure.
That's one of the ways that can be done. The other way, I mean, this is the go figure. Everyone talks about it, so I'm trying not to talk about it.
Okay.
Is, of course, grassroots,
Sure.
getting involved in your local community as a personal individual. Like, that's the mainstream discussion, so everyone says it, so I'm not trying to say it.
Just have to repeat it 30 more times.
Yeah, like once the 500th time someone has heard, get involved in your local community, grassroots effort, dedicated individuals, blah, 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 you can make a change. But if we're talking about like national level trying to change things, what we've seen is that it is from, politically interested, the intelligentsia, American intelligentsia, usually making the first waves, right? And then the second thing, honestly, I've seen is that eventually movement building, even from grassroots like the progressive movement, eventually they solidify their winnings in society through the state.
Okay.
That's what has been seen.
So through like legislation. and
Yes,
stuff like
laws,
that? Okay.
local, state, national, doesn't matter. Solidifying your movement through engraving them in laws will change culture. I have to emphasize that, is that the laws will change the culture.
Okay, so are you? Because that's interesting. Because like the Breitbart doctrine is that politics is downstream from culture. If you want to change the politics first, you have to change the culture before it. Are you not? Do you not subscribe to that? It seems like what you're saying is like. So the social a social movement solidifies its winnings in legislation.
Yes.
Eventually, so that does kind of sound like the Breitbart doctrine.
Yeah.
Thing. Okay.
So, but I think that the way we think about it nowadays, in American politics is we think that the way to go usually is through professionalization, right? Professionalization of the organization. We saw it, I think, in the 1980s where it started with those direct mail nonprofits where people were members of a group of a political organization by just basically paying into it. It wasn't an active grouping type deal.
Sure.
Right? Associations, right? And right now when we think of how do we change things, we think, oh, I'll start, some guy says I'll start a 501c3 and I'll go get funding from someone, and that's entirely respectful. That's a legitimate way of doing things, right? But I'm saying that if you want to create a nationwide movement that fundamentally changes how we think about culture and how we think about changing laws, and engraving into laws those changes that we want to see into culture, it's going to involve, at the beginning, with those informal fraternal, the lost American tradition, what I've seen, the lost American tradition of society building, right? I think that's how it's going to be. That was a very boring book I read. It was interesting to me.
There you go.
Democratic Republican Societies, 1790 to 1800, and talks about that. It talks about how those societies changed ideological thinking in the American government and how they contributed to it through information dissemination. Okay, so those Democratic Republican societies, they were there was like lawyers and stuff like that. There were members in the intelligentsia, but it was mostly
When you say intelligentsia, that's academia.
yeah, academia.
Okay. Just for
Higher
clarification
education,
for the listener.
yeah. And then also there was also a majority of them were also artisans or farmers or whatever, right? But those people, doesn't matter. The point is that they did it through information dissemination, and that allowed for people's thinking to change, and therefore the ideology to change. Ideological thinking in America to change, American political discourse to change, engraved in laws. And eventually it led to the peak. Jefferson got elected, and the societies kind of fizzled out because that was their main objective. I'm losing track of my own discussion. I'm just kind of
You went too far in.
I went too far in.
We're going to start to wrap up here. Matthew, is this your first Braver Angels event?
It is.
You've been to?
First time ever.
What are your honest thoughts? Have you gone to a debate yet?
A debate? No, I have not.
We're gonna go to the third party debate.
That's awesome.
Are you guys both going to go to that?
Yeah, I want to
I guess
speak.
I am.
I want to speak. I'll let you. That's at 1:30. I asked the guy.
That's at 1:30 today?
No, tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow? Okay.
No,
Gotcha.
I asked.
Either way, Matthew,
Okay.
what do you
I'm talking to this guy off screen now. I didn't mean to do that.
Christian is being Jamie. Well, Matthew, I hope you enjoyed the first debate. They are wonderful.
Yeah.
Please don't be afraid to get up there and talk.
Of course.
Of course, don't be afraid for that. And
I'll do a little bit of to get him up.
Alex, what do you think about the convention this year so far?
I think it's a much better location. It is a much better location.
You guys can kind of see. But we have Lake Michigan.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
This college is
It's
beautiful.
awesome.
Shout out to Carthage College for hosting us.
Yeah.
This is a beautiful spot. All right, a couple of wrap-up questions that I ask every guest. This first one is new, and Christian and I figured this one out. This is officially play testing a new question for guests.
Okay.
No.
How
Special.
many? This is a two-part question. How much media do you guys engage with that is sponsored by Ridge wallets, Shady Rays sunglasses, Sheath underwear, or Raid Shadow Legends?
I thought it was gonna be a genuine. How much media do you consume?
Yeah.
No,
I thought it was gonna be I was like,
No, this is funny because Christian and I have landed on this conclusion that I listen to a lot of podcasts sponsored by Shady Rays, sunglasses, Sheath underwear, Ridge wallets, and we never see any of these
Ground
products
News.
ever.
Ground News as well.
Never see
I have to say, Shady Rays got me. I ended up purchasing some of their sunglasses.
They got him.
They're not half bad. If I could endorse them, or like if I get some money from them, they're pretty good. I like them.
But if I don't get money, I hate them.
yeah, no, if I don't get money, they're just mid as hell. They're
Okay.
kind of crappy.
Understood. And Alex, what about you? Have you seen any of these products in the real world?
No.
I have never met a
No,
person with.
I've seen people with like knockoff ones or like those
Yes,
slim
you only
wallets
see
and stuff like that.
knockoff. You've
Yeah,
never seen actual Ridge wallet.
yeah, I've seen that.
I've never seen a Ridge wallet in real life, and so many big YouTubers are sponsored by
Ugh.
So many.
How is Ridge getting this advertising?
It has to be a money laundering thing.
That's what Christian said.
Yeah, it has
Christian
to
said
be.
It has to be money laundering. Okay, anyway, next question. All right, so whoever wants to start first for these doesn't really matter to me. What is your favorite part of your job?
Well, currently I'm unemployed, but so I like the whole of it. You know, it's pretty damn good.
The Stair Party, I guess.
The Stair Party.
What's your favorite part about being involved with the Stair Party?
Just the people you end up talking to, the places you end up going. Like here, the only reason I'm here is because of the Stair Party and Alex. Right. Like, if I wasn't part of that, I'd possibly just be back home right now.
He'd be a bum.
Yeah, I'd just be a
He wouldn't be a
bum.
traveling alcoholic. He would just be a bum alcoholic.
I'd just be sitting in a dark room with a bottle in my hand going, doesn't get better. But, no, yeah, I love it because you meet these people, you go places, and then you get to talk to this guy, and he just talks. And eventually, yeah, no, he definitely does talk. I promise you, it gets far more.
I got cut off. I was getting to the groove of things. It was like I felt during this podcast episode. It was like and then Carson was like, "We're gonna switch it back here. We're gonna switch it back. Maybe let's get back on topic."
The muzzle you.
I think it break down in 5 minutes.
The muzzle.
Alex,
I was drunk.
What is your favorite part of your job with the Stair Party?
Okay. I actually have a job. I actually am employed.
Maybe.
I work as
For now, let me get to him.
I'm gonna send an email. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. I work.
Lasso to like rope you guys in next time.
Next time you're not on the podcast, I'm gonna be like, I'm here with Matthew,
We've taken
and we're
over.
just talking.
I jokingly said that I should just set up the mics and turn everything on, and I should just leave and let you guys go.
You're gonna come to a convention. You'd be like, "Where'd all my stuff go?"
Whichever job you would like. Favorite part.
So I like social media. I work as a social media guy. Okay. It's not gonna be my end job, but I do really like it because it's a good job.
There you go. Yeah, man.
I'm trying to think. I used to work you do your summer jobs. You'd have your summer jobs as a kid. Like the first one was as Wendy's. I got fired because I tried to unionize the Wendy's spot.
Damn.
That didn't work out. And then I worked at a warehouse. And both jobs, I realized I can't do this anymore. I gotta.
Labor ain't for you.
The monotony. So the social media is social. Anyways, the social media job is great because there's no more monotony and I have more creative freedom.
Sure.
And then for
what exactly are you doing with that?
I basically do photography and then I also do the social media aspect. So I do photography for them, or if they do like a show or something, I go and take photos for them, or I take photos of their facility and the people working at the facility.
Just for different companies and stuff?
No, for one company.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. No, they got me locked in.
And then what about your favorite thing about doing Stair Party?
I've been doing it since 2021, which is actually No.
I mean, technically.
2021. Yeah, but I really liked it. It's changed so much since I started it, and it's changing again. And it's just the learning. I think it was the learning journey. I really enjoyed how much I've learned from talking to other people and exploring the political discourse and having proper conversations other than just bullshit online that happens, like
Roblox.
Basically Twitter discussions. I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed learning from other people. I enjoyed. It's been a journey.
Yeah.
It's been a journey. So I've really enjoyed that.
All right, we got to wrap here, guys. I really appreciate it. Matthew.
Absolutely.
Nice to meet you, sir. Of course,
Yeah,
Alex. Yes, sir. Enjoy the rest of the convention.
You too.
And we'll see you later, everybody. Peace out.